It's me, Channel Doe. How are you doing? I, for one, am pretty excited. The 2027 movie Sonic the Hedgehog 4 has officially wrapped principal photography, and to celebrate, Jeff Fowler is keeping two traditions alive: a celebratory wrap photo and a photograph of your CGI stand-in plastic character, with the promise that Sonic 4 is the best Sonic they've made yet. That's what we like to hear. Obviously, Jeff Fowler's not going to be going, well, it's not as good as Sonic 3, but we're working on it. But do we have genuine reasons to believe that Sonic 4 could be the best Sonic movie yet? Well, here's one thing that's certainly working in Sonic 4's favor. From what we're to gather, this could be the most Sonic-y Sonic movie to date. Now, I'm guessing there wasn't a great deal of public filming this time because there have been no set leaks. Since Sonic 2, each production has definitely felt more secure than the last. But it could also be that these films are getting more CG than the last as well, with Sonic 2 and especially Sonic 3 bringing those CGI characters to the forefront, and that is, at the end of the day, what we want to see. But they haven't really brought many of the exotic environments from the games over. These have been very earthbound movies. Given how kind of quick and how little of this production process so far has been live action, and obviously this doesn't account for studio shot stuff, but I think this is the least we've seen of human actors walking around a set of a Sonic movie. And we've also heard that a lot of the guest stars in this movie are going to be voice roles as well, hinting at potentially more Sonic characters to come. But as it stands, we're expecting Metal Sonic and Amy for this movie, in addition to all the other cast members that we've established in the previous three movies. And this is the most at ease I've ever felt during the hype cycle of a Sonic movie. Dr. Robotnik is coming back. Yay! Shadow is coming back. Yay! Sonic's little crew is complete now that Amy's there. Yay! Also, Metal Sonic's going to be in it, with this movie hopefully marking the first time Metal Sonic has been cool since the Sonic OVA movie. Alright, that's not fair, the comics exist too. But I am definitely looking forward to a Metal Sonic that has to be the threat of a film, so hopefully he won't be getting his ass kicked every 5 seconds while they play Stardust Speedway to thunderous applause as though that's his theme music, even though it doesn't fit his personality in the slightest. And to be honest, I'm not even worried about that, because Knuckles himself was fighting an uphill battle against dwindling relevancy, and the second Sonic movie was quite a driving force in turning that around for him. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was an incredible film, and it's easy to kind of assume that Sonic 4 is kind of have to compete for best of the rest, basically. Sonic Adventure 2 is the most iconic Sonic storyline. There's not really any higher you can go with that, you'd think. But this movie clearly isn't a straight-up adaptation of Sonic CD. Otherwise, what is Shadow doing there? And I'm intrigued to know what his role will be in all this. But just having him here, and if he has a really good role in this movie already, we have a chance at potentially topping or matching Sonic 3, as Shadow was quite a driving force for why that movie was as good as it was. Of course, that movie was his origin story, and even in the games they've struggled to kind of escape the shadow of that origin story. But I think Jeff Fowler and the writers as well have definitely proven themselves and proven that they understand what makes these characters matter with their previous movies. So honest to God, I'm happy to just sit back, relax, and just let them cook. Of course, not without macro-analyzing every single detail on this Metal Sonic prop here. Sonic movie production photos are typically very boring. It's either a bunch of humans or a camera pointed at a tree. But sometimes, if we're lucky, we'll get to see these plastic production stand-ins of the Sonic characters that are life-size. Remember, this is back how we first found out Knuckles was going to be in Sonic 2. There was a time when it looked like Tails was going to shape up to be the main draw of that film. A production standee was used for the first Sonic movie as well, but do people really still think the ugly design was a publicity stunt? Sonic 3's first production photo was a picture of Shadow's foot, and we saw just how detailed those production standees were getting, and just wow, look at these guys now. So what are these for? It's not like they're gonna start moving around, is it? Well, when it comes to films like the Sonic movies, scenes are often shot twice. One with a clean plate with no VFX characters present, and another with these plastic stand-ins. These are put there as a reference point for the animators to know where to position the characters and how to light them. Hence why they're kinda detailed and why they're also shiny. Them being shiny but slightly matted allows the CGI artist to see where the highlights and shadows are on the models. Sonic 3, as well as the Knuckles TV series, used puppetry, in addition to the plastic models. This was done to help the actors. They can see what kind of energy the characters have in the scenes. These little production standees are my favorite part of these Sonic movie behind the scenes. It feels like they're actually kinda real, especially in the case of Metal Sonic. Sonic. As go figure, it's a lot easier to make a robot look real than it is to make an animal look real. And we could see how we could expect Metal Sonic to look in the Sonic 4 movie based on this. But is there really any mystery as to how Metal Sonic was going to look, given that they did showcase him at the end of Sonic 3? Well, the post-credits for Sonic 2 used a modified Super Sonic model to create Shadow, while Shadow got his own devoted model for Sonic 3. The same could have been the case for Metal Sonic. After all, he did just look like a modified version of game Metal Sonic, who you might see in CGI cutscenes for, say, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. But aside from one being fully CGI and the other being a practical prop, Metal Sonic looks virtually no different from Sonic 3 to Sonic 4. He remains the most faithful translation of the source material in terms of design in these movies. At first glance, the Sonic characters might just look like the Sonic characters we know and love, but with fur textures. But they each had some proportional tweaks here and there that Metal Sonic clearly hasn't had. Even down to the fact that his hands are absolutely massive. While for movie Sonic and his friends, they mostly scaled the hands down a little bit. This usually helps with character motion, and given that Metal Sonic is a robot, you probably don't have to worry as much about that. He's going to have a more rigid movement style if the after credits of Sonic 3 is anything to go by. This photo also reveals that Metal Sonic in Sonic 4 will have changing appendages. His arm can transform into a blaster, which is why I don't doubt we're going to see him transform into a little rocket metal at some stage. And maybe we will get things like Neo Metal and Metal Overlord. But at the same time, I don't take that for granted. But this set photo also proves that, yeah, they weren't just using temp models for the mid-credits like they did with Sonic 2 and Shadow. Metal Sonic really is just gonna look like this. And it's not like there haven't been some tweaks to make him fit into this live-action world. The main one I've seen people discussing is the panel lining on Metal Sonic, particularly on his face. And I'll say I do fully get that. I made a video recently on why the DCU costumes aren't really doing it for me, and it's because they keep taking these lovely designs and just adding extra piping to it, and it doesn't look like it serves any function. The Sonic movies have also been guilty of this. Dr. Robotnik's final suit in Sonic 3 would have looked awesome were it not for the piping all over this thing. I get it's meant to be exposed circuitry, but why would the circuitry be exposed? You'd trip over and break the thing. It's a red zip-up tailcoat with buckles on it, guys. It doesn't need all this. Making everything look techie is completely unnecessary. But there's one little asterisk I'm going to apply to Metal Sonic here. He's meant to be a robot. If there's any place where you could get away with panel lining out the wazoo, it's on a robot. That's not to say that design doesn't matter, but we're fully aware of how these things are going to be assembled. It also helps that there's a nice elegant curvature to the lines here as well, particularly on the ones on his face. And when you look at these, you can kind of almost see what looks like one of Eggman's little flying egg babies. Like the design on the front of those looks very similar to this panel lining on the front of Metal Sonic. You can see welding lines where the bottom of his ears meet his head. There's like little ventilators inside of his ears. But there is one detail here that they have retained from that Sonic 3 post-credits that I kind of wish they didn't. They put this little hatch on the bottom of Metal Sonic's snoot. This has the effect of looking like a grumpy mouth. And I am concerned that maybe in moments where Metal Sonic could look incredibly threatening, he might instead end up just looking kind of grumpy. There is a definite layer of grumpiness to Metal Sonic's character. The way he's got a permanent scowl, his irises are always half covered, giving him the look of someone who is incredibly tired. But I just don't think a grumpy mouth was necessary to kind of sell that look. I kind of liked it better when it was subtle. But then I guess we'll see if that even serves a purpose, if it turns out he actually does have a little moving mouth flap. Do kind of a live-action Transformers or Ultron thing with Metal Sonic. I also will say he looks appropriately shiny. The blue parts look like kind of the outer body of a car. The silver parts are nice and shiny and metallic, maybe a little more reflective than they usually go for. And this is all good because I felt like Metal Sonic has really just looked like Rubber Sonic for a while now. He's so matted in the games and not very shiny at all, with the exception of Rise of Lyric. But there is one possibility I want us to consider here, and I could just be completely wrong about this. This would probably be a lot of work, a lot of budget, and a lot of hassle, but it isn't outside of the realm of possibility. This is the most detailed production standee we've ever seen in the Sonic movies. So the opportunity is there to stuff this thing with animatronics. After all, we've seen that he does have quite robotic movement in the Sonic 3 post-credits. So you could save the CGI on Metal Sonic for scenes when he's flying around doing high-action set pieces, but when he's just kind of interacting with other characters, he could be an animatronic, and that could look amazing. I don't think that's the case. but I think it is possible. I also highly suspect he's going to start the movie without a voice because of the commentary from the Sonic 3 movie. Ben Schwartz asked who's going to voice Metal Sonic, and Jeff Fowler said the fun part is that Metal Sonic doesn't really have a voice. I get the feeling that's going to be true for the majority of the movie, and then he will gain a voice later on, and I suspect it could be Ben Kingsley. We also see that they are in a studio shooting this scene as well, and you can see this shrubbery behind Jeff Fowler. This could be the Forest of Green Hills, but there's not really much we can take from that. What do you guys think? How are you feeling about how Sonic 4 is shaping up so far? Do you think we might see other worlds this time? Or do you think the time travel element could be more restricted to Earth? Do you think there's even going to be a time travel element? What do you think of how Metal Sonic is looking? There's so much to talk about, so why not just spill your beans in the comments below? There's all that other stuff I'm supposed to push as well. Hit the like button if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, the hype button helps apparently, but I take none of that for granted. I want to make absolutely clear you do not have to do that. Okay, and now a special shout out from my patrons in the $5 and above tier. They are Manalza KB, Twilord Biotin, Sirius the Skeptic, and Mr. SP, Kale Bennett, #1 Fish PNG fan, Dare Denny, Sad Goku, Ghostly Phantom, Xanderwolf, Channel Pup, Council of Geeks, SSSO6, Carl X, RT0, Marv Animation, Grant Allen, Josh Strider, Silver, Ben Raven, Basic Content, Gideon Wells, Press Play to Jason, Joseph Tribble, and Cho Henshin. Thank you folks for how generous you've been, and as for all of you, my channel's a buffet. Go grab yourself another plate. Peace!